The world has its eyes on Eastern Europe as fears of a Russian invasion continue to grow. For months, Russia has amassed over 100,000 troops around Ukraine, some 30,000 of which are currently in Belarus as part of a joint security drill. And now, on the day when these exercises were expected to conclude, Belarus's defense minister has announced that the two countries are extending their military drills. Issuing a statement, the Belarusian Defense Ministry said that the decision to extend the drills was taken because of military activity near the borders of Russia and Belarus, and an escalation of the situation in the Donbas region of eastern Ukraine. Analysts say that Moscow's decision of extending the drills will be seen as further tightening of screws on Kyiv. It will also add to the fears of the West, who have warned of a Russian invasion into Ukraine. For the last few weeks, Western leaders have accused Moscow of seeking a pretext to send in troops to Ukraine, whereas Russia has repeatedly denied it plans to invade its neighbor. Meanwhile, dramatic increase in shelling has been reported in eastern Ukraine. The Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe reported almost 2,000 ceasefire violations in the region, the highest number ever reported in a single day. International media in the region also reported of multiple explosions heard in the center of the city of Donetsk. In light of intensified clashes between pro-Russia separatists and Ukrainian forces, President Volodymyr Zelensky has called for an immediate ceasefire in eastern Ukraine. Zelensky said that Kyiv supports peace talks within a trilateral contact group where Ukraine participates along with Russia and the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, also known as the OSCE. On the other hand, the rebel groups in power continued evacuating people from Donetsk in what appeared to be part of Moscow's efforts to paint Ukraine as the aggressor in the ongoing crisis between the two countries.
Прибыло 910 человек, из них 358 детей. На территории области у нас подготовлены 42 пункта временного размещения. Мы подтвердили готовность принять 4,5 тысячи человек на сегодняшний день. Если будет того требовать обстановка, значит, будем заниматься увеличением количества мест, готовых к размещению.
Well, for more on this, Volodymyr Zolohub, an independent journalist, is joining us live from Kyiv. Zolohub, thanks for your time and welcome to WION. Can you start by describing to our viewers the mood in Kyiv or Ukraine at this moment?
Yeah, well, first of all, just for clarity purposes, I'm currently in Odessa. I traveled here earlier today to witness a large march of unity by pro-Ukrainian forces. Odessa is predominantly Russian-speaking city. And back in 2014, during the Euromaidan revolution, there was a very strong pro-Russian sentiment here. So when I went out to the streets today to witness this solidarity of Ukrainian population, of Ukrainian people here, they told me that a lot has changed since then. Obviously, everyone is concerned about the possible aggression, and Odessa is right on the shores of the Black Sea, and Russia has multiple military ships just a few kilometers off the coast. So this is something everybody has in the back of their minds. But overall, if you're talking about the situation in Ukraine and the state of people's minds, obviously the threats of possible Russian invasion is in the back of people's minds. But you don't see panic or hysteria or mass fleeing of refugees out of the country, because one of the reasons for that is that Ukrainians have been living with that threat for 8 years now, and the recent couple of weeks have just shown some sort of escalation of this threat.
Zolohub, critics argue that the shelling and evacuation of residents are signs of an imminent conflict. Others claim it is a ploy. President Zelensky has called for a ceasefire. How would you describe the situation in Donetsk?
Well, obviously, the situation in eastern Ukraine and in Donetsk in particular is very volatile. We've all heard the reports of foreign intelligence that Russia has amassed 100,000 troops on Ukraine's borders. They're ready and willing to invade any moment now. And what it seems like what's happening in Donetsk right now is that it's a pretext. Russia is waiting for a pretext, real or fabricated, to actually invade Ukraine, to cross the border and to start the outright war. And obviously, these removing of evacuation of civilians out of non-government controlled areas, these reports of alleged shellings on Russian territory, and the increased fire on Ukraine's territory are all the evidence that Russia is just waiting and manufacturing this pretext to invade.
Solokhub, like you mentioned there, jitters of war are still present. Leaders are making frantic diplomacy forays. Ukrainian President Zelensky is calling for new security guarantees from world powers. We have Putin saying that he has no plans to invade Ukraine. Countries are recalling citizens from Ukraine. So much is happening. In your view, Mr. Solokhub, how do we differentiate between facts, threats, and rhetoric?
Well, unfortunately, it's very, very difficult. And that's what's tricky in this whole situation. On the one hand, you have a Western and American intelligence saying that Russia is ready to invade any moment now. U.S. President Biden saying that Russian president has made up his mind to invade Ukraine. On the other hand, Ukrainian government, Ukrainian leadership is saying that situation is under control, all at the same time trying to find the diplomatic solution out of this crisis. So there are certain steps that the foreign governments are making to protect, obviously, their citizens. They're advising them to leave the country. They're evacuating their embassies, either completely out of the country or moving them to western parts of Ukraine. You see the airlines halting, foreign airlines halting flights to Ukraine. But as I said in the beginning, Ukrainians are living in their country. Ukrainians have been living under this constant threat for 8 years now. And even though these tensions have escalated, they're going about their lives at the same time having this threat in the backs of their mind.
Finally, this situation has been going on for months now. Is there a possible end game to this matter? Will it ever be resolved? And what will it take to ease the stalemate?
I think this is what actually a lot of analysts, as well as a lot of Ukrainians, are concerned about. That this escalation can last for weeks, if not months, and that's what President Putin wants. Of course, he doesn't want the outright, the open invasion. But at the same time, this current situation is very convenient for him. As we've discussed, foreign governments are recalling their citizens, evacuating embassies. Ukrainians are, on high alert. Ukrainian military is on high alert. And everybody is trying to appease Russia. So I think there is this concern that this tension, this escalation can last for weeks, if not months.
Live from Odessa, independent journalist Volodymyr Solokhub, thank you very much for your insights and for talking to WION today. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.